Batman time! Hello, welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the Mafex Hush figure from the comic book Batman Hush. One of my all-time favorites. And you know me, I had a rocky history with Mafex. I had a lot of figures where I was unhappy, quality control issues, and I wasn't even sure if I was gonna get another Mafex figure. But I love the character of Hush just that much that I'm going to give Mafex another chance right here, right now. Let's have a look at it. But before we dive into the review, which might be a complete disaster if it sucks, well, I'm gonna get angry, or it might be one of the greatest figures ever. But before that, don't forget liking, subscribing, and commenting. Engaging with this video really helps me out. It's worth it, I will promise. I gotta be honest, so far, this is pretty good. There are some things I have to talk about. I mean, it's a review, duh. But I also want to talk a little bit about the comic book and Hush and whatnot, because I think it's important. This has been one of the biggest new Batman villains in the last 20 years or whatever. I think he had like one of the most impactful entrance into the entire comic book universe. Like, just the build up to it was, I can't remember them building up a new villain as much since Bane, basically, and yeah, it's that good. So, he stands at about 16 centimeters to the top of the head, a little bit over it. As for your inches, we are going up to 6.almost 3 for your size comparisons. Here's Jolter, McFarlane Toys Red Hood, and SH Figuarts Goku in the Super Saiyan Awakening version, Mattel Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mafex Batman from Batman Hush, and Darkseid. For your overall look and detail, the face sculpt is quite phenomenal. Like, there's a lot of shading throughout the figure, and it's one of the most noticeable parts in the head, as you have the bandages and just a little bit of a hint of a dry brush to really elevate all the molds that they did on that. And it's just like, yeah, it shows. And I always keep talking about the same thing. Imagine you wouldn't have painted the head, you wouldn't have added any dry brushing on it. Yeah, the bandages would have still looked nice, but this is just like, which makes it look even more like rugged, more dirty, and just perfect. The eyes are printed on, so they're a little tiny bit pixelated, which you know you won't even notice that much. And the amount of detail also in the teeth is quite astonishing. Also, you have a little bit of the lips under there. And as for the rest of the figure, shading in the coat, there's tons of it, especially in the back. You see it in kind of like the deeper parts where it folds up, and then you have the belt going around, and there's a lot of wrinkles on it, so it makes it look very nice and dynamic. For the arms, like the shading I feel like there's a lot more shading in the back than on the arms. At first I didn't really notice that much, but looking at it under the camera with the lighting, it looks good. Then you have the fists on there, which have like a little bit more of a darker brown, and the entire Hush outfit with the red H. And by the way, most of it, from what I can tell, is painted. I mean, like, there's one like a little bit of a shiny spot, which is bothering me quite a bit, but I guess I have to have some quality control issues. But then you got everything else with the yellow, which is surprisingly well executed. Like, usually with yellow on black, you have like bleeding, or it doesn't really cover up the black that much, but this one, it looks good. You have the H on there, which is removable, so this is a single piece. Same with the belt, you can switch that out. You have like a lot of accessories, and even have some hinges on the pouches, which I think is a bit excessive, but hey, it is cool, and it really helps with the articulation. Like this pack though isn't. Also, like you can tell, it's kind of just going up over there. They mold it like this. It's all connected to the rest of the belt, like the lower half of it, and the upper part is movable. So I like this, that it's just molded on there, so it doesn't get tangled up when you try to move them around, when you try to move them side to side and that whatnot. So that's cool. Then you have a little bit of soft plastic here in these parts, and just the line work also is nice. It's also a bit more shiny in the red, so it does stand out. You got these shin armor pieces, which have like a nice little bronze tone, very shiny, metallic, good looking, down to the boots with some more line work on there. I think it's also, yeah, it's basically the same color, also metallic, and there's also some detail under his boots. And just looking around for more stuff going on. Now, design wise, what I heard a lot of people like, well, not really complain about, but note, is that you can take off the coat, especially when Mafex did do Gambit just like recently, which I did not pick up. Gambit had like a, not a plastic coat and actually a completely removable coat from, which I think was real cloth from the looks of it. And Hush, as you can tell, yeah, there is no way you can switch this around. You can take the coat off, but then you still have the coat arm, so that doesn't make any sense. Kind of wondering if they're gonna make a Hush down the line without the coat, but that would be kind of stupid. Now, there was an opportunity to do that, just give him different arms, take the coat off, and there you go. However, it's one of these cases where I'm always on the fence of it. Comic book accuracy. This guy is based on the comic book Batman Hush, where he did show up just like that. Never took off the coat. We didn't see his real face, but I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it's really accurate to the comic book, and it really focuses on that and nothing else. So, I don't have any trouble with it. Next up, I want to have a look at the articulation, and before I even do that, I want to make note of something. He is somewhat loose. I really want to, you know, I need to tighten these joints because it's very floppy, especially in the torso and the arms. They do tend to pop off quite easily if you move it around a little bit, but now it's in there tightly. I guess it works, but beforehand, like just moving this one around just popped off immediately. So that's something to take note of. Just in some parts, it's a bit wobbly. Now, for the head articulation, does move back and forth. It's very nimble on the neck part, and the neck part itself also has some articulation, as you can tell, but it is all held back by the collar. It does still go back, forward, and tilt side to side. It goes all the way around. Shoulder articulation. Now the weird part is you do have a butterfly joint in the back over there, but it doesn't really move that much forward because especially the big kind of arms, the coat arms are blocking it. The coat is not really an issue. It's really soft, so it does move around with it, and then, oh, there we go. So you can rotate the ball joint in there around if it doesn't disconnect. So you have, well, actually, can you move the ball joint in there around? Yeah, a little bit. You really have to hold on and push on it. Otherwise, it disconnects, as I mentioned. Then you have the hinge, which goes up like that. If you push it forward, it disconnects. So there's that. You do not have a bicep swivel, unfortunately. Now, it's another case of it would have looked ugly with a bicep swivel, but I don't know, maybe they could have hollowed out the upper part of the arm a little bit more so you could rotate it, because you can't really. You can bring it a little bit up and down, as it can, again, it disconnects. So it takes some playing around, not the best part of it, very frustrating actually, and I'm just going to take the arm off because it keeps disconnecting. You have the double hinges, goes up all the way, and then you have a ball hinge in the fist, goes back and forth, rotation. For your chest area, as I said, it's fairly loose, but however, it does get some good range. Goes forward in the chest, you can rotate it around side to side, and it goes all the way around without any trouble. It's just on a ball. Let me get this out actually real quick. I can't. Okay, I don't want to force it too much on the camera. And then you have the lower part, same thing, rotates around, goes all the way around, and you can take the belt off, which is floaty, does not connect it anywhere. And if you combine these two, he does lean forward quite a bit, also goes to the back. We do have a gap in there, but it's fine. I mean, it's really when you're forcing it all the way. I mean, if you kind of rotate it, kind of push it to the back, you still can try to hide it. Again, another thing that takes some playing around, but you know, you have options with it. With the legs, they move forward, out to the side, not really that much. This is really like nothing too fancy in it. It's actually just a ball joint connected to it, and like really at the price point, and now we're already talking at the price point of Mafex, considering like this leg joint is good, but you know, I've seen so much better from like other companies. But anyway, so it's okay, but it's limited. And then you have the double hinged knee. Actually, yeah, it is double hinged, which that's just one of the weird cases again. Why did you not connect the knee pad over there? Well, maybe it's not supposed to connect the knee pad. I'm not really sure about that. But then again, you have the foot, does tilt side to side very nicely, pretty stable, up and down, and you do have a completely frozen toe hinge, which I don't want to break it off. Please don't break. Is that all I'm getting? That's all I'm getting right now, so I'm going to call it like that. And then you go with the articulation. And having a look at the accessories really brings home the point that they were focusing on the Batman Hush comic book, because that's all the accessories you're getting. First and foremost, you have like a different head sculpt where it just kind of looks seriously. Doesn't have the teeth or whatnot. Also looks great. Then you have a Jason Todd face. And that was the entire thing of the Batman Hush storyline. Who is Hush? Who is this mysterious new villain? There was a lot of deception in there and trying to lead the reader into a way. And even like Batman is like, oh, is this like a revived Jason Todd? I will not spoil it, I guess. I mean, the spoiler's already a little bit on the box if you read it. But you also have, in the same vein, you have 2 coins for like Harvey Dent was not Two-Face anymore. Is he Hush now? That was the question. You have some, you have a Batarang, or is it a Robin Rang? That doesn't make any sense. That sounded awful. Has a nice metallic look to it. Great stuff. Then you have bringing home the idea of, is this Robin? You have the entirely different belt with the R on it. Also same stuff, has the hinges on there. And you have an R, which you can replace with the H in his chest. Just kind of pack that in. Actually, it's a very nice and tight fit. I tried it out. So you have also the double Beretta. Is it a Beretta? I'm not really that good with guns, but it's guns. It's 2 guns. Also look amazing. They're actually very realistic, and the metallic on it really pops. Love it. Then for your hands, you have these 2 ones where he kind of holds the Batarang in it like a fist and kind of claw. And then you have the trigger finger hands for both sides, obviously, and more grabbing hands, kind of probably to lean the Batarang in there, and the open hands. Grabby hands, booby grab hands, really going for that. And a little bit more angled style of hands. And then you also have the Mafex base, which I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's alright, I guess. It has like this big claw. And you have the screws, you can tighten it. So, you know, you can play around with that if you want to. And for your final thoughts, I like this. I really like this figure, actually. The more I look at it, the more I play around with it. It's just like, the issues I have with it just kind of fade away as I look at this beautiful bastard who's like just such a great representation of the comic book character. And I love the idea that they really went all in on like that appearance of Hush for the first time in the comic book. Nothing else after that, nothing else in between. And you know, maybe down the line we'll get some other versions, and I might even be down for it. Like, if they did Gambit where you can't take the coat off, why not do that with Hush? Maybe in the future. They could have done it right now, but again, it's just I'm not really bothered by it. And yeah, this is like the best Hush you can get. I don't even know if there's any other high quality Hush figures you can get. I'm sure McFarlane is going to take a stab at it sometime in the future. I will definitely be there for that. But as of right now, I really like this figure. And if you're a fan of Hush like I am, you're really gonna get a kick out of it. I guarantee it. And even if you're not a fan, it's a solid figure. It's a good figure. It could be a little bit tighter, but other than that, it articulates well. It has a bunch of cool stuff to play around with. So I will recommend it. That's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whenever Hush wants.